Hi everyone, it's me, Lubna. Today is Tuesday, November 26th, 2024. This video is dedicated to my beloved, and the topic of this video is going to be about forgiveness. And I'm going to talk about forgiveness in relation to the statement, all minds are joined. And I'll explain more about what that means after I share with you a journal entry that I wrote very early this morning in the journal that I'm currently working on, which is this one. And before I read the journal entry aloud to you, I wanted to show it to you in case you'd like to read it for yourself. So there it is, and I'll read that aloud to you now. Here it goes. Tuesday, November 26th, 2024. Today is my father's birthday. It has been a very long time since I last saw him, and we have only talked on the phone a few times this year, for a few minutes each time. He did not even know that I was no longer enrolled in medical school until earlier this month when I told him. When I was 16 years old, my parents got divorced and my father remarried. Then, when I was 22 years old, my father and my stepmother adopted a baby girl from Bangladesh. I could not help but feel replaced at the time. This left a lasting scar on my psyche, which I continue to work through. The most important lesson I find myself having to learn is how to forgive. But really, I don't feel that there is actually anything to forgive, as the circumstances have worked out to my benefit and the benefit of all others. That is one way to forgive, recognizing that there is nothing to be forgiven and that everything is good. In the grand scheme of things, I learned much that I would not have learned if what happened had not happened. The scar is a beautiful one. A few days ago, I came across the phrase, all minds are joined, while listening to an audio recording of The Way of the Heart. Here it is in context from Lesson 3. And all minds are joined. It means that where you extend forgiveness within the consciousness, within your emotional field, to another, whether they be physically present or not, you are extending to them exactly what you could extend to them if they were physically in front of you. Understand then that you are dealing with consciousness. You are not a physical being, you are spirit. And you are intimately linked with all minds at all times. Therefore, forgiveness of another can occur any time you decide that it can occur. Anyone you've ever believed has wronged you can be forgiven by you in this very moment. Anytime you've judged another and therefore been in judgment of yourself, you can undo that in the very present moment simply by making a different choice. We can forgive ourselves and other people by realizing that every perceived wrong is really a right in the grand scheme of things, and all things work together for our best. When we adopt this attitude, something shifts in the fabric of the universe, and others not even in our physical presence feel the effect of our simple change in attitude. I truly believe this. This is why it is essential to forgive 70 times 7, especially when it is most difficult to do so, until we come to the realization that there was really nothing to be forgiven in the first place. There is a place within us that knows the perfect purity of all. So that is my journal entry for today, which I wrote this morning. And as I wrote in that journal entry, when we look at things on the whole, we learn to see that really nothing is wrong and that there was nothing to be forgiven because everything works out for our best in the end. And as I gave in my example of my parents getting divorced and my father getting remarried and adopting a new daughter, I learned to see the positive in that situation after it happened. And when it happened, I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like it was a good thing, obviously. I felt wronged, I felt hurt, and I felt replaced. But over time, as time has passed and as the years have passed, I see more clearly why that was a good thing for all of us, for everyone involved. I ended up learning a lot about myself and growing within as a result of what happened. And a lot of things that happened to me after that, and a lot of achievements I've had, a lot of good times, a lot of successes, and a lot of personality traits that I've developed would not have happened, and I wouldn't have developed those traits if what happened had not happened. So you see, what was considered a wrong at that time really ended up being a right. It ended up being a positive thing. And I've already forgiven my father, and I've forgiven my parents for having to make me go through that experience when I was 16 years old. And I know that it's nobody's fault, really. It's just the situation. It's just the circumstances that we've been dealt. But over time, I've learned to forgive everyone and everything. And the way that I've done that is by seeing how everything has turned out for the best in the grand scheme of things. And I've let go of any possible negative feelings toward anybody involved. And I love both of my parents very much, in spite of anything or everything that they might have done to cause me harm indirectly. I know that it was not on purpose. And we also have to remember that whenever we feel like somebody has wronged us, just think that they didn't know any better. Because think about it, when you do something wrong, when you do something that is perceived to be morally wrong, at that moment, you probably think that it's the right thing to do. Nobody really does something that is morally wrong for that purpose because they just want to do something that is wrong. They have a rationale behind doing whatever it is that they are doing. So just remind yourself that whenever somebody wrongs you or you perceive that somebody has wronged you, they didn't know any better. That was the best that they knew at the time. And that really helps to alleviate a lot of negative feelings toward others as well. And in relation to this idea of forgiveness and all minds being joined, I wanted to bring up a passage from the book that I'm currently reading, which is Letting Go, the Pathway of Surrender, that also relates to this topic. And the passage that I wanted to share from this book comes from the chapter titled Anger, which is on page 134 to 135. And I'll show that to you in case you'd like to read it for yourself. So I've enclosed the passage in brackets. And I'll read that aloud to you now. Here it goes. This experience and many like it demonstrate how we are all psychically connected. The internal position we hold about another person is forcing them to adopt a complementary defensive position. It is, therefore, not Pollyanna to forgive and forget, but a reasonable recognition of emotional realities. The interactions between human beings are determined by the configurations of the vibrational energies that their emotions are radiating into space. The energy of the vibration and the thought form with which it is associated create a readable record. So that paragraph relates to what I wrote in my journal entry about how when we shift our attitude, or when we shift our perspective of a perceived wrong that somebody has done to us, then something shifts in the universe. We make a shift in the fabric of the universe, and some way, somehow, because we're all connected and all of our minds are joined, there is a universal consciousness. Whoever you forgive gets the effect of your forgiveness. They feel that in an indirect way, and I'm still trying to learn how this works and read books to know more about how this universal consciousness works. But it is a real thing, and if you just think about seemingly coincidental experiences in your life where you felt that you and another person or other people have thought about the same thing at the same time, or something happens serendipitously at the same time that you are thinking about that thing happening, it gives some proof for this universal consciousness and this idea of all minds being joined. So that is my message on forgiveness for today, and relating forgiveness to the joining of all minds, and how when we forgive another person, even if we don't forgive them directly or say it to them directly, they feel the effect of that forgiveness, and we do as well. I hope that you've learned something very valuable from my video today and will practice it in your daily life and learn to forgive. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and or watch my video today. And I'd like to wish you a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or whatever it is, wherever you are in the world.